Well, we are starting. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Those of you that are present and those that may be watching the live stream or reviewing this later, this is our regular BOCC meeting for November 17th. This is the only regular meeting we have scheduled for this month as we kind of roll into the holiday season. Before we take roll, I'd like to invite Chaplain Jim Keene up to provide us an invocation and lead us in the pledge. Thanks, Jim.
Well, good morning, Lord. I'm thankful to live in Elbert County. When we look across the country and see how, as a result of this COVID madness, that many people are still having their freedoms challenged. We thank you that we haven't been affected in this county as much. I pray for wisdom for the county commissioners and the staff. May they continue to do things to keep our county successful and moving ahead in the days ahead. And for the meeting today, may your presence be felt here in Jesus' name. Amen. We face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim. And for those that don't know, Jim Keene's the chaplain for our sheriff's office, volunteer that takes care of the spiritual fitness of our deputies that do see probably everything that's negative in the county, even though there's not a lot. They have to see it every day. So, Jim, thank you for your service. With that, it's 9:02. Amanda, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Pettit?
Here. Alrighty. First item of business we have is approval of the agenda. My understanding is we have no changes. I would accept motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So our first item of business is approval of the consent items. I'd accept a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve the items on consent. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Elected officials, department heads, and staff reports. I understand we had a recent election.
Clerk and recorder. Playing with my microphone. I want to give you a brief update on our election that we just had in the first part of November. Just kind of give you a rundown. We're not completely done yet with putting it all the way to bed, but we're very close. Our first round of our audit we completed on Monday. We're waiting on the report from the Secretary of State's office to see if the other 63 counties completed their audit and passed. We're crossing our fingers that they do. If not, we'll be doing it again tomorrow. And if that doesn't work, we'll do it again Friday. And if that doesn't work, we'll do it again Monday and then Tuesday. But we won't go that far. We have scheduled our canvass for Tuesday. And so that will certify and have final results available at that time. We always have the school districts and different special districts that are interested how soon that will be so their new directors can be sworn in, and until we canvass and certify those results, they're unable to do that. But that is our target date is next Tuesday. Going into this election, the November 2nd coordinated election, we were showing 21,945 active eligible electors. We received back 9,863 ballots for a 44.9% turnout. Of those ballots, 118 were in-person voting. The rest submitted their mail ballot, 9,745. Our signature verification judges did find 37 signature discrepancies that we have sent letters out to, and they have a certain period of time to cure those. If they are not, they are forwarded on to the district attorney's office for them to deal with. We did receive 20 ballots after 7 p.m. on election day, and so we will scan that into the system that they submitted a ballot, but it will not count as it was received after 7 p.m. The link to all the results, all the different races are still up through the website, and we'll have that up for a little bit longer, and then we'll remove that. But so if people are interested in a specific race, it is still on the website. I always like to highlight our election judges. We've got great election judges. They do very good work, and because of them and the staff this year, we threw another shutout. They're perfectly balanced. The total number of ballots sent in, we were able to count for every single one of them, and we balanced perfectly. And so it's not a small job to get that done, and so it's very good for the feather in the cap for the election staff and the judges to be able to do that. We have 2 lead judges from each party that we give a lot of authority to make decisions. They've been with us a long time. They help with the other judges and certain decisions that have to be made. If myself or Ron or one of the election staff's not available, we have trust in these 2 people. They're going to make the right decision. And those 2 people are Tracy Ducharme, representing the Democratic Party, and Danny Wilcox, representing the Republican Party. They do a great job for us, and we're always glad to have them. The rest of the election judges representing the Democratic Party, we have Brad Eit, Susan Schick, Ruth Ann Stricker, Carrie McWilliams, Alan Krennick, and Art Weber. And the rest of the Republican judges, John Duffield, Nancy Durner, Don Nix, Debbie Raymert, Wendy Walp, Margie White, Beth Wilcox, and Mary Robin Wills. And these folks put a lot of time in. They don't get a whole lot of money. They do see it more as a civic service for us, and they do a great job. I would take this bunch anywhere in the state if we were called up and again to do an election outside this county and know that we would be able to get it done right. They do a very good job for us. On top of that, our election staff, as you know, is second to none. We get recognition across the state for the job that's done here. Rhonda Braun as our elections manager, Rachel Wilkins and Amanda Moore as election staff do an excellent job too. They're just top shelf from top to bottom. This year, our audit board that was before the election took place to verify the machine count was accurate, and our canvass board that verifies and certifies the election next Tuesday. Representing the Republican Party, Ted Hannon, who's with us today, and representing the Democratic Party is Jim Duvall. And so we will meet with those guys for sure on Tuesday, if not before, and get this election certified. I just want to also give one quick shout out to our facilities department. They did a great job, and Bobby, we cut a little close on getting the parking lot done, but he assured me that we could get it done beforehand, and we did, and so I'm appreciative of that. The judges appreciated it. It really made things a lot easier for us to have that striping done and all that. And on top of that, they were very responsive to us. Any needs that we had, the doors opened and closed as they were supposed to when we were out of normal working hours. On election day, we had a little heat issue, and they jumped right on it, and so really appreciate them being responsive to us and helping us out with that. But overall, it was a good election season for us. Like I said, a perfectly balanced election is what we're always shooting for.
Appreciate it. I know with all the concern and turmoil around elections, it's nice to know we do it right here in Elbert County, and it's a good thing. Just quick, on the parking paving project, did we get the lights in yet?
Lights are in.
Awesome.
Yep. Okay. They went in last Friday, so thanks. This week it's been nice to walk out and be able to see your car. So.
All right. Thank you very much. Got anything for Dallas?
Just thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Susan, did you have anything? Okay, thank you. Well, I just wanted to. Rory, Public Works.
Commissioners, Rory Hale, Director of Public Works. I want to give you a brief update on County Road 178 as well as County Road 174 and 13. We did a 3-hour inspection yesterday, 3.5-hour inspection yesterday. Probably one of the best paving jobs I've seen in my career. The guys did a great job. There's a few punch list items, but they're minor. At this point, we're going to try to shoot for the week of Thanksgiving to open the roads up. People are already driving on them as it is. Again, it's, I can't speak enough about the contractor. I mean, we see a lot of contractors do work in the county, but these guys did a phenomenal job. They were real responsive to any concerns that come up, real responsive to citizens. They were real cognizant of the sensitivity of doing some of the work in people's backyards. When you see the work that was done, it was very well done. We're real happy with it. So, again, what they'll do is they'll submit a letter granting initial acceptance, and then it'll go into the 2-year warranty period. Once that's completed, they'll have to resubmit another letter for final acceptance. We will, in that 2-year time period, go ahead and be snow plowing those roads. Any other maintenance items are the responsibility of the contractor and or developer. So, any questions?
Just when that opens up, will we have signboards or just to warn people, let people know there's changing traffic patterns or new entries onto Delbert? So, okay. Yep. Appreciate it. Thank you. We have any other staff comments? Okay. Seeing none, I'll move on to citizen public comment. This is a chance for folks that have an issue that's not going to be addressed later in today's agenda to bring it before us. And before we ask for folks in the room, Amanda, I don't believe we had anybody that wanted to be called or any email comments submitted. Alrighty, so just folks here, do we have anybody that, we have a Maggie. Hello, Maggie. Yeah, if you could, just give your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Will it be time to comment on the resolution at that time?
Yes, yes.
Okay. This is a little different. My name is Maggie Witherby, 44447 Homestead Road, right here in Elbert County. I just want to make a few comments, not a really long speech today, but the COVID narrative's been going on for 20 months. It's continuing. I just want to say just a couple of things about that for the record. Basically, this whole COVID narrative is based on one of the linchpins of this is that PCR test. PCR test has been, as the developer of the PCR test said, it's not a diagnostic tool. It cannot detect infection, and yet it's still being used out there, and it's still being used as the main tool upon which cases are created. If you get a positive PCR test, then that's a case. No matter that the fact is that the PCR test has a very high false positive rate. We're still doing that 20 months into this whole thing. I want to fast forward at this point just to make another point. We're in November, and we've got a vaccine program in progress. My specific concern today is that we need to look at what's happening to our children. We're now allowing children to be vaccinated across our country. We need to look at what's happening. We know that there are very few deaths that children have, that they don't die from COVID, but they are dying in the hundreds from this vaccine. Especially boys, they are getting a lot of myocarditis and they are dying with heart problems. I think also one of the other statistics is 80 soccer players over in Europe have fallen over on the ground as they are playing the game. Now, this is just one example of what's happening as a result of this injection program. I would ask that our county officials take a look at this, our county health department take a look at this. Those of us that have been studying this would be happy to come in at any time, bring our information and present it to whoever would be interested in hearing. Really concerned about the children, what's happening there, they don't have a choice. Decisions are made for them. So we need to be extra vigilant on their behalf. So I would ask that we together in Elbert County take a look at this whole COVID narrative together and make some decisions about where we want to go as a county. I don't want any of you or any of our health department to be culpable in what might become the crime of the century.
Commissioners, that's 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to talking with you again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any other public comment at this time? Okay, seeing none. Oh, sure, yes.
Good morning. My name is Tim Adair, 3436 Antelope Ridge Trail in Elkhorn Ranches, and I'm here to comment on the same issue that Maggie was addressing. I'll do this with as many questions as I can read in 3 minutes. First of all, why shutdowns and mandates for a relatively mild disease? 99% is survivable, especially for healthy young people and children, the exception, of course, being those who are immunocompromised and have other comorbidities or other health problems that are severe. Why are mandates being implemented as having the power of law when they do not? The legislative process is being ignored. Why are oral treatments, ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, being discredited and denigrated when one, ivermectin, was given the Nobel Prize for Medicine when it was first developed, and they are both being used effectively against COVID around the world? Why has Governor Polis written over 400 executive orders under the cover of an emergency, more than 2 times the number of the governor with the second highest number of executive orders? Why have there been a very large number of cases in hospitals of COVID-19 when COVID-19 was given as a cause of death, when the real cause was clearly something far different, even traumatic accidents and so forth? Why has the federal government paid hospitals a lot of cash for each documented COVID-19 case and each death in which COVID-19 was said to be the cause? Why does the shot for COVID-19 not defend against the actual SARS-CoV-2 virus and only attenuate the symptoms, COVID-19 disease, effectively creating asymptomatic carriers? Why does the shot for COVID contain things such as graphene oxide, nanoparticle science, and hydrogels, as well as derivatives of fetal tissue? And I think because of the obvious answers for most of these, that you should consider strongly why Governor Polis is making a statewide mandate that people receive this shot when there is all of this kind of evidence against its effectiveness, against the need for it, and when it bypasses the legislative process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other at this time? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at this time and move on to discussion items. The first one we have is just a quick discussion. We're coming up to the end of the year. We got things we got to close out in the county before December 31st, and then as we roll into 2022, what do we need to look at in terms of appointments and other actions for our annual appointment resolution? So with that, I'd pass it on to Sam.
Commissioner Sam Elbert, County Manager. So yes, sir, we are rapidly getting close to the end of 2021 and into planning for 2022. As we finish up the financials and some of our appointments are ending at the end of 2021, we'll take a look at 2022. We will do the annual organizational resolution, which includes things like the hours of operation, the meeting schedule, the designated posting place, newspaper of record, and then all the many appointments that the commissioners make for the coming year. This year, I think we're also going to be able to include a new zoning map for the county as a part of that resolution, or as a separate resolution. We're still investigating that. We hope to have a draft of the organizational resolution at the December meeting, and we'll take it to action on the first meeting in January in '22. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, just so long as we're tracking, I know we generally have about 3 on the planning commission. I know there's 2 expiring terms on the library board, and I guess a recent vacancy from resignation of trustee Duvall. So if you could reach out to them, and I think their library director recently departed too. So if you could reach out and see who we need to be talking to get those in. Beyond that, I don't have anything. So thanks.
Yes, sir.
Have any comments on this? Seeing none. I'd like to invite up Mr. Rick Morgan, our Veteran Services Officer, to kind of give us our annual Around Veterans Day report on his activities in supporting our local veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for making time on your busy schedule to let me tell you about the services we provided to your Elbert County veterans in the last year. I'm Rick Morgan, your Elbert County Veteran Service Officer, and this one-man office provides a broad spectrum of veteran services to Elbert County veterans and their families, and the purpose of the office is to make sure that any veteran or their family is assisted in receiving all the veteran benefits that they earned in service to this great republic. I would like to take my diversion just as a personal note. It was 40 years ago, almost to the day, that I last had an opportunity to speak in an environment not terribly different from this one, but in other ways very terribly different than this one, to Mr. Bob Hummel. I was aboard USS Midway off the coast of Iran. And immediately after that discussion, to a group of aviators, Mr. Hummel went out and jumped into his war machine to defend this great republic in a different crisis involving Iran. So I'm reminded of that at this point in time when I'm talking about veterans and the wonderful service that Mr. Hummel provided to this country. And it's an honor and a privilege to do so. Next slide, please. So first of all, from a nationwide point of view, I want to point out that total VA expenditures, which are shown here in the orange line on top, have continued to climb as we've seen the needs of World War II veterans, Korea veterans, Vietnam veterans, and now more recently Persian Gulf veterans climb in as we go forward. Those total VA expenditures are expected to continue to climb till about 2045, when we'll see a decline as we start to see the passing of Vietnam veterans and other folks like that. At the same time, the total number of veterans will continue to decline, as you can see here. That's the picture nationwide, but it's not quite the same picture that we have here in Elbert County. The trends here in Elbert County are slightly different, where we have about 2,000 veterans here in Elbert County. Next slide, please. This is the history of services to Elbert County veterans over the last 20 plus years. Back in 1998, when I started in this office, we were getting about $1.3 million in VA benefits to Elbert County veterans. About 1,000 veterans at that time were receiving those benefits. Both the number of veterans and the benefits available to Elbert County veterans has continued to climb steadily in the last 20 years. And in 2020, $15.6 million were delivered in VA benefits to Elbert County veterans, to about 2,000 Elbert County veterans. I would point out that we saw a small drop in the number of veterans here in Elbert County from 2019 to 2095 until this year. And that's a reflection of the loss of our World War II veterans and some Korea veterans as well, at a rate that's higher than the influx of Persian Gulf veterans and Gulf War veterans coming into the county. So the rate of those heroes passing has outstripped the advent of new veterans coming into the county. But we are getting new veterans into the county who are veterans of the Gulf War, Persian Gulf War. The 2020 expenditures in the county represent an increase of over $2.5 million from the year before. So we're seeing a good, steady increase. And that's different than the national perspective that you saw before, where the number of veterans were declining over time. That's not the case here in Elbert County, largely because we have large military facilities both to the north and to the south of us, and we expect that veterans population here in Elbert County to be stable through about 2045 or so, when it'll start to decline. Next slide, please. This is the way that those $15.6 million benefits to Elbert County veterans breaks out in terms of areas in which they're provided. The largest, of course, is the $8 million compensation and pension benefits that are paid directly to individual veterans here in the county. And that contrasts slightly with the $6.5 million worth of medical benefits, which are actually provided either at civilian facilities on behalf of the VA or at the VA hospital and clinics to the north. Much smaller amounts with regards to insurance, education, voc rehab. I will make one note here with regards to education and veterans benefits for education purposes, is we've seen a slight decrease. The only decrease that we've seen anywhere across the board is with regards to the GI Bill and education programs, a drop of about $150,000 out of over $1 million for last year. And that may be one of the very few reflections of the impact of COVID in terms of the availability of education programs being paid for by the VA. So we expect to see, as the impact of COVID starts to wane, we'll see the voc rehab and education benefits probably pick back up as attendance climbs. Next slide, please. Taking a look at the numbers of veterans, the different wartime periods that they represent, about 30% of all of our veterans served in peacetime and did not actually serve in wartime, but the majority of our vets here, representing about 60% overall, 70% overall of our total veterans in the county are wartime vets, and the majority of them are now Gulf War vets, and that's where we're seeing the largest increase as we move forward. But that parallels a decrease. You may recall that last year we had, I want to say, about 75 World War II veterans represented. So that's been cut in half, and we expect that to continue as we move forward. Next slide, please. Taking a look now at the disabled veterans that we have here in the county, the slide on the left represents how serious those veterans, those service-connected disabilities are. And you can see there's two peaks in that graphic. And one is for those who have relatively minor disabilities for between 0 and 20%. That's an expression, by the way, of the severity of the disability, is that percentage rating. So someone who is 100% disabled is severely disabled in one or more service-connected ways. So there's two modes to that: those who are relatively seriously disabled and those who have some smaller disability. Classic example that would be, for example, hearing loss, something like that. On the right-hand side, you see the age breakout for those disabled veterans who are receiving benefits. The largest peak for that age are those who are Vietnam vets right now. But we'll expect to see the age where those benefits are being paid will remain relatively steady, but gradually the Gulf War vets will move into that age period, and we'll see that over time. Next slide, please. If we start to talk about day-to-day operations, this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of talking to vets and working with their families and helping them on a one-on-one basis. With the advent of the pandemic, we saw a sharp reduction in the number of face-to-face office visits and those kinds of things. But at the same time, we saw a great increase in either telephone calls or video calls or email traffic and so forth that reflected a sustained amount of support to those veterans regardless of the pandemic. And none of that, the office never closed. We never stopped providing any support through the pandemic in any way. It's just the way we delivered that support transitioned to virtual and remote purposes. By and large, that we've begun to see that revert back to the way we were doing business before, and we're starting to see a pickup in terms of office visits and community outreach visits, those kinds of things. Right now, we have 462 open active case files, and that represents about 40 files having been permanently retired in the last year, and about 70 new files opened up with new veterans as we start to work with them. On average, we do about, typically each month, between 3 and 5 brand new claims for veterans who have never made any claims before. And most of the time, about between 2 and 4 active appeals for veterans who are appealing their benefits in order to make sure that they get the full benefits that they're entitled to. Right now we have, we see new appeals, and last year was 11 new appeals, and in terms of ongoing appeals from 2019 that carried over into 2020, we had 9 of those over that period of time. Next slide, please. So in summary, we are supporting about 2,000 Elbert County veterans. We expect to see that number remain relatively stable into the out years. We're receiving $15.6 million, which is a $2.5 million increase from the year before. All of the Elbert County Veteran Service support was provided for the first 20 years that I was in the job, was an all-volunteer effort, and through the efforts of the commissioners and, of course, the county manager. In 2018, the state of Colorado began paying a monthly stipend of about $1,200 to go ahead and cover the expenses and the operations of the office and transportation and so forth, for which we're very grateful. In summary, thanks again for allowing me time to tell you how we're doing. Right now, we have everything we need to do the job, and we're doing the job well, and I'm grateful for the resources you've made available for it. And I invite your questions.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks too, because I know you care and you do a good job and everything. And, you know, if any veterans out there that need assistance, give Rick a call.
Yeah, I just would echo that. I mean, I'm regularly hear the appreciation out in the community for, I mean, you're out there, you're determined, dogged, and you just work through and help folks. And I can't say enough about how much I appreciate that. Certainly the flexibility of continuing to provide service during the COVID restrictions, you know, is definitely necessary. And I know we had quite a few folks that there were end-of-life benefits and things that had to be worked on as well. I would wonder, just for our 36 remaining World War II veterans, if it'd be possible to get a contact listing of some sort, just so if there's appropriate recognitions or times that we'd like to invite them to things that are going on in the county. As you said, they're unfortunately dwindling quickly, and I think anything that we can do to recognize their service during World War II in these last few years, it would be really good to do. But on behalf of, I guess there's at least 5 veterans in the room that I know of, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Do we have any comment or discussion on that? Okay, seeing none again, thank you, Mr. Morgan. Our next item is discussion of the Kiowa Creek parcel transfer here within Kiowa. Bart?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Bart Greer, County Attorney. On this particular item, really what we're doing is dealing with some of those legacy issues that were inherited from various land or title issues that the county has dealt with on its own property. And so what we're hoping to do in this particular instance is clear a cloud of title on some property that is owned across the street. There is a couple of parcels, very small parcels over there that the county is in possession of. One of them has the dam located on it, and these are all located right next to the car wash that's right across the street. There's already been some development on the edge or on a portion of one of these parcels, so at this point there's a cloud on title for that business, but there's also a reason to clean it up for the county. One of those reasons is to get rid of the liability that's associated with owning the property that does have the dam and the dam maintenance associated with that. And so that would be something that the property owner that is on the adjacent land would be taking on as part of this transfer and sale to this individual. We're not making any warranty representations as part of this potential sale. It's really just a pretty straightforward swap, allowing for that cloud on title to be resolved. And so that is something that at our next BOCC meeting, I'd ask to be placed on the action items. All the paperwork has been drafted. All of the particulars have been reviewed, and we've been actually trying to get this done for about 2 years, so I'm very happy that we're finally at a point where we can resolve this for the county and the car wash across the street, and both parties get a little bit out of this transaction. So happy to answer any questions.
No, I would just say that I'm glad we're finally looking at it. Bart said we've been working on it here for over 2 years, but it's probably been over 10 years since everybody's known that that was a problem, and probably longer than that. So I think it's time to get it done.
Yeah, I agree. And the other comment, the land is not buildable.
That is correct, Commissioner. It's right there next to the creek. That area does become flooded, at least in certain portions of those parcels that we're discussing. It's not suitable for development, and that's why really the county hasn't done anything. Really, the only thing of note over there is the cloud on title that's there right now, and the fact that one of the dams for the dam system here in the county is located over there. So I'd say that's probably the most readily available use that could even be contemplated for any of those property, because you would not be able to build a structure that's going to be able to survive or remain for any amount of time.
And again, I just appreciate you continuing to follow up on it, because I know we've had, it's that levee alongside the creek isn't under the conservation district and their dam system. The Corps of Engineers wasn't aware it was there. The CDOT's been out and around on it, and I know it's floodplain, and part of it's under the borders that the car wash use. So I think just getting it cleaned up is good. If you could just kind of continue on. I understand the paperwork will be for my signature, so if you could.
That's
have
correct.
that prepared for the next meeting.
That's correct. I will have that ready for the next meeting for certain. And this has certainly been a long project. We've worked with CDOT on it. We've worked with the Attorney General of Colorado's office. It's amazing just how complicated something that should really be simple can get on this, but we really are ready to resolve it, I think, at our next meeting. So I'll have that ready to go.
Thank you. Any comment on this? Seeing none. Next one's also land related. The discussion of rezone of the new public works facility parcels. Sam?
Commissioners, so on behalf of facilities and our planning shop and public works, we'd like to ask for a county-initiated rezone of the 2 parcels that we bought for the new public works facilities, and to erase that lot line in the middle and get ready for construction. So all we're asking for is direction to do a county-initiated rezone and get that set up to move forward.
Yeah, let's get it done. Like I said, I think my understanding is we just, for the rezone, is just advertise the 2 parcels for 3 consecutive weeks, and it rolls through the planning commission and up to us, but pretty much it's what we'd make any citizen do that was building, so.
Yes, sir. That's the plan.
Alrighty, thank you. Alrighty, the next item we have, our last discussion item is resolution regarding opposing vaccine mandates and vaccine passports. Yeah, I'll kind of take this on, and I mean, we heard a little discussion during public comment, and there's been a lot of obvious concern throughout the state, throughout the county, and we've seen mandates from the state for public health workers, encouragement for private businesses, state workers are under a vaccine mandate, and there's been, some impacts of that. I mean, regardless of what an individual's feelings in terms of whether it could help or hinder their health, we've seen the results. I guess an example would be the CDOT maintenance crews. Word is, and again, unverified but anecdotally, I mean, we're short about half the crew here in Franktown through either people seeking employment other than the states or just retirement because they didn't want to be required to vaccinate. The Franktown maintenance team is also, certainly below full strength. I've heard zero. It may be larger. The Lyman facility was at 50% as well. I know there's been reports across the state of a couple of hundred short in CDOT maintenance crews, and luckily we had a few snowflakes today, but not real snow. But that team in Franktown takes care of 86 from 21 out to I-70, or the one here in Kiowa. The one Franktown takes care of 86 up to County Road 21. The Lyman team takes care of 24 through our county and I-70. So, even though we have nothing mandated in this county, the state mandates are having an effect or potential effect on the safety and travel of our citizens. I know Road and Bridge has been looking at this, and we've been talking, and I mean, at the very least, we know we will do what we've always done, which is make sure that emergency vehicles can get where they need to go. Usually it's discussions about plowing down a private road. Last winter, much to their credit, I know we had a road grader that picked up and led an ambulance from about 8 miles south of Elizabeth all the way up to Parker Adventist because we couldn't get roads cleared by Douglas County ahead of us or the state highway cleared ahead of them going up Parker Road. So they will do what needs to be done to ensure the safety of our citizens, but we also need to look out for the individuals and their rights to privacy, their rights to make their own medical decisions. So kind of funny is I drafted this over the weekend and then came in Monday to find out CDPHE had released a new public health order that essentially articulated what's going on in the metro area where they have instituted vaccine passports for large venues, indoor venues. Within that, it did strongly urge that other counties adopt the same. So this wasn't meant to be in response to that, but it certainly, in timing-wise, is kind of a response. And what we wanted to kind of consider was the fact that government exists primarily to protect the rights of individuals. And we started into COVID with a strong statement from ourselves as Board of Health that we trusted individuals to make good decisions for themselves, their neighbors, their families, their communities, and that our biggest role that we could fulfill with a small public health department was provide good information so people could make those decisions on their own and for themselves. Now, the unfortunate rollout of that as this has continued is, the information we get is very limited and in some cases suspect. And it's interesting that, almost as interesting, the information we don't get is the information that we do have. And I think it does leave people at a loss of what is the right decision for myself. But at the end of the day, as elected officials, if we don't trust people to make good decisions, we'd have to question why we're sitting here at all, because it would kind of make you wonder what's an election about if you can't trust people to make a good choice. So we do trust our citizens, and we recognize their rights to privacy and their rights to make decisions for themselves. So the resolution, and I'll just read kind of the whereases and the therefore parts, and not the boilerplate around it, but it is a resolution opposing the imposition of vaccine mandates and the implementation of vaccine passports. And it reads, whereas Amendment 4 of the U.S. Constitution provides protection of the rights of individuals to be secure in their persons, papers, and effects, and Amendment 14 requires equal treatment under the law. And whereas the Supreme Court has found a constitutionally secured right of privacy in multiple rulings that specifically protect individual freedom to make certain decisions about their bodies and their private lives without interference from the government. And whereas Colorado law under SB 21-142 states in its legislative findings that every person has a right to privacy with respect to personal health decisions, free from coercion or interference from the government, and that was signed by our governor on the 21st of May of this year. And whereas the governor of Colorado has publicly acknowledged, and this was just a few days ago on Facebook, that adults should be free to make their own decisions and mistakes. And whereas the Elbert County Board of County Commissioners, the BOCC, has previously expressed their trust in the ability of our citizens to make sound decisions regarding their own health and safety, that of their families and that of their neighbors. And whereas the BOCC is aware of the concerns of many citizens upon hearing discussions of implementation of mandated COVID-19 vaccinations and vaccine passports in other Colorado counties. And whereas the BOCC has determined that a vaccine mandate takes from individuals their right to make personal medical decisions, and the use of vaccine passports violates medical privacy and justifies unequal treatment of individuals, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Elbert County, Colorado does hereby, 1, publicly announce its opposition to COVID-19 vaccine mandates and the use of vaccine passports imposed at any level of government, and 2, commits itself to ensuring that no citizen of Elbert County shall be denied any county service or protection based on their vaccination status, and 3, assure all current and future employees of Elbert County that their individual vaccine status shall not be considered as a factor in hiring or retention decisions. And be it further resolved that all local governments within Elbert County be encouraged to adopt a similar public position on these matters. That is the heart of it, and I'd recommend we consider it for adoption today. With that, I'd open it up to discussion. Anything you guys had to add?
No, all along, we've said that, it should be up to each individual to make their own decision on what they're going to do as far as vaccines and things like that, and that we weren't going to dictate to businesses and things like that, people should be able to make the decision where they want to go, what they want to do, and the vaccine mandates and that shouldn't dictate our lives.
I think we have a consensus here that each and every person in Elbert County should be able to make their own decision. And sometimes the decisions that are made don't take you to the right place. Both my wife and I had the full vaccination program. 6 months later, we got it. We got the COVID. And it took a while to get over, but the whole point is that decisions are made for different reasons. Mine was to make my grandsons willing to come and visit us. But the most important part of this is what's both of my fellow commissioners said, is we expect each and every individual in the county to make their own decision.
Okay, I'd open this up for public comment. Maggie?
And we had many of our residents there. And I want to thank Chris for coming. We invited Chris to come. We invited all our commissioners, but Chris was able to make it at the last minute, and we thank you. It was important, I think, for everyone to see that you were there, and they appreciated it, and they demonstrated that by, I think, applauding loudly. So they really appreciate the fact that you guys are listening. I also had an opportunity to talk with Chris personally yesterday, and we appreciate those opportunities as well, because it allows us to exchange information and ideas and opinions. So that is a valuable and welcome circumstance here in our county that's not present in other counties. So we're very thankful. First of all, we thank you for your resolution. We really appreciate that. I think at one point we're going to have to, this is a good first step, and it really covers basically what's going to be happening at the county level. And this resolution covers any level of government. It talks about county services. What we've seen, however, is that what they do is they take these mandates and the passports and they'll funnel the decision-making process through the national corporations. So that's something that we're going to have to possibly look at in the future. We know that might be coming. I also want to reiterate that I'd really like to have what I'm going to call a COVID or vaccination summit meeting in our county and have all of the people that have a stake in this or an opinion about this to let's get together in one place. Let's get our health department folks. Let's get some of the folks that have done research maybe on the other side of that argument, if you will. And let's get some of this information out on the table. So I would, again, make a call for that. And I thank you for, again, working with us. I also shared with Chris yesterday the doctrine of lesser magistrates. And this is where we, at the local level, do have a right and a duty to challenge anything that's coming from the state or the federal level. This is something that's well established. It's very similar to nullification, but not quite the same. So, gave Chris a copy of this yesterday, and I think, again, if our state gets a little bit domineering, if you will, we do have a right to speak up and to say no. So thank you very much. We really appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any others? Ursula.
Ursula Hummel, 11340 Copper Canyon Circle here in Kiowa. And I love talking with you guys. But I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for the considering this resolution, for listening to your constituents and our concerns. I, for one, think that these vaccine passports and mandates are an evil threat to my freedoms. I don't appreciate it. I don't like it. And just sort of tongue-in-cheek, today Elbert County, tomorrow the world. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any others? Okay.
Bob Hummel, 11340 Copper Canyon Circle, Kiowa, Colorado, and Director of the Food Bank at Kiowa Creek Community Church. The Constitution of the United States was created by some brilliant men that used some great philosophy and combined it to create, I think, the most perfect document that could be created by men to govern men and women in a country. And that's what makes us special. The key difference between the forms of government that existed at the time it was created is that we, the people, are the sovereign. It is our rights that must be protected. And the fundamental underlying foundation of our Constitution is that the primary role of government, as Chris said earlier, is to protect the rights of the citizens of this country. And in Article 6, Section 2, we refer to as the Supremacy Clause. Our Constitution and the amendments to it override any state, county, or whatever government institution that may exist. And we need to make sure that we follow that policy. There is no clause in any of our amendments to our Constitution that says unelected health department bureaucrats can override protected rights of the individuals. And of all of the amendments, Amendment 4, the protection of your personal property and rights to keep things private, and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, all those are very important. But I think one of the most important amendments we have doesn't get spoken about very much, and it's Amendment 9. It's the fact that certain rights of the people are listed in the Constitution does not mean that their other rights may be denied or treated as less important. We have rights as individuals in this nation that supersede the dictates of the powers that be in our federal and state government. And we are obliged, as Thomas Jefferson said, if we see a law that is unethical or wrong, to oppose it and not obey it. And those are the things that are coming to us as citizens of Colorado and citizens of the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Yes, sir. Tim?
Again, Tim Adair, 3436 Antelope Ridge Trail, Parker, Colorado. And I'd like to say, like many have, thank you for considering this, and thank you for making individual rights and individual decisions a priority. And otherwise, I'd just like to say I agree with these three people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Susan.
I would just like to say, Susan Murphy, County Assessor, when all of that was coming out and mandates were coming out, I can tell you on behalf of employees of Elbert County that there was concern. And there was, they were very disheartened in speaking about their individual freedoms. And I said, no, you don't have to worry about that because we are in a conservative county. These guys are men of integrity and character, and they're going to stand up for the right thing. And I put that at ease right now because I knew that you guys would do the right thing. And it is a personal choice. And we do appreciate that. We respect that. And we're very thankful for being part of a community in Elbert County that is conservative and has values that people respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Alrighty. Do we have any other? Okay. Seeing none, I was going to end public discussion on this, but as I said, we put it on discussion, but I don't think we're going to change our minds before another meeting. So I would entertain a motion to approve the motion as it was presented.
Mr. Chairman, I enthusiastically move that we approve Resolution 21- to be determined opposing the imposition of vaccine mandates and implementation of vaccine passports.
Yeah, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Sam, once we get this signed after the meeting, if we could distribute it to just all employees, because I do think it does impact them in terms of reassuring their status, and I also want to make sure that they also understand that in terms of providing services, a vaccine status is not something we would ever ask or look towards. So, with all that being said, we do care deeply about the health of and safety of all our citizens, but those health decisions are their own. So, thank you. Moving on to our scheduled action items. First item we have was consideration of approval of the minutes from our October 27th regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the October 27, 2021 minutes as presented.
And dispense with the reading.
And dispense with the reading of those minutes, yes.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the October 27th meeting and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And we have a second set of minutes from our,
I'll make a motion, we approve the November 10th, 2021 special BOC minutes and dispense with the reading.
Second.
okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the special meeting, which was our budget hearing for 2022, and the information provided there is attached to these. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Alrighty. Next item we have up is discussion of adoption of the new commissioner map for the county based on census data received from the 2020 census. Dallas, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dallas Schroeder, Elbert County Clerk and Recorder. I'll do just a quick summary of what we've done so far to get to this point. We made the decision, and election staff said, yes, we can make this work this year, not have to put it off 2 years. And so from there, we've had work with the GIS. Fellow Tom Neer has been a great help to us. And we've had meetings with representatives from both major parties. We had a public event. I know you all took the maps to your town halls. We discussed it at last BOCC meeting, so there's been ample opportunity for public to be involved in this process. We've had very little involvement, though, so I don't take that for what that's worth. And since last meeting and through today, we've had no additional formal comments on the maps. As you mentioned, it's something we have to do every 10 years based on the census. To redraw the commissioner district lines based on population. And so we will present a couple maps to you today, the same two maps that we discussed at last board meeting, and for your consideration. The map that is on the screen there, we have creatively named that version 3. As we were going through and making several different versions, we were naming them. This one is version 3. And Amanda, if you can just zoom in on the part where all of those come together so that they can see, it's the plus sign over on the left side. Get a little bit closer there to where we are. If you can see this one, one of our criteria is to use any major terrain features as a dividing line. We looked long and hard for the Elbert River. We could not find it. We looked for the Elbert Mountain Range. We couldn't find it. So what we went by were the roads, which is our next criteria. And so these lines that you see to separating these districts all go by roads. I could go into whatever detail you want to on where the dividing line is, but as it stands on this one, District 1, which is the brown, which includes the town of Elizabeth, has 8,701 people. District 2 in the northwest corner, 8,616, and District 3, 8,765. This gives District 1 14 extra. They're on the plus side. District 2, 71 short, and District 3, 58 to the positive side. So that is one of the maps that is before you. This map was the two maps that are presented in all our public events. These were the two maps that were the most either 1 and 2 choices for everybody. So we can toggle back and forth after I show you the other one, and then we can make any discussion or that you would like to. So Amanda, if you can open up the one that is 3 municipalities. The 3 municipalities, we were looking at trying to find one that looked a little different. It ended up a lot of our maps looked very similar because the population of our county is very heavily to the western part of the county. And so we tried to get a little creative and look at something maybe a little bit different. And so what we came up with this one, we called it the 3 municipalities. And you can see it is looks a lot different than what we currently have and what a lot of the other maps look like. So we have the District 1, it's in the northwest corner still. District 2 expands along the southern side to the east, and then District 3 makes up the rest of it. The major, once again, was along the major roads. Highway 86 is the dividing line between 2 and 3, and then between 2 and 1. With the exception of anything that's in the town limits of Kiowa and Elizabeth is also within District 2. So all 3 municipalities, Elizabeth, Kiowa, and Simla, on this map are located within District 2. We have the more densely populated area up in District 1, and District 3 then covers the rest of the county. And so there was a lot of discussion over this. This was actually the map that was #1 choice for both parties in our meeting with the parties. And so those are our options. I'm happy to ask any questions, and we'll answer any questions. I guess I could ask them too, but I'll answer them. Whatever you'd like, we'll supply.
Just one, could you go over a little bit, and you don't have to show us the functionality, but the use of the GIS and how that kind of was a game changer for you guys?
Perhaps I'll take over the computer. So being able to utilize GIS and the ESRI redistricting was a great benefit to us. I know you've heard us lament before that election staff would have to use crayons and maps and all kind of stuff, and so our supply budget looked really weird. It looked like we were going to kindergarten, but this has made things a lot easier to do it online. And so there's a little bit of a learning curve with it. And we've been playing around and getting there. And it makes it very easy. One of the things that's hard to understand is, well, you have a certain number, just divide it by 3 and make it work. Well, it's not quite that to that point. The county is divided into blocks. And you originally think, well, a block is something that's square, right? And so it's just a block here and a block here and a block here. Well, that's not the way it is either. And so when we scroll in and we can make some looks here, and getting down to the very, maybe I went a little bit too far. When we were going through and changing the blocks, you see all these lines here. Each one of those is a different block. And so you can see some of these down here are really small blocks, but there's some out here that are really huge. And so when we would go into change, and say we wanted to change some of these out of District 3 into District 2, we can hit on that block, and then it'll change that entire block to be in District 2. And as it's doing that, our numbers at the bottom here automatically change as well to how many people are within that district. And so there's a little bit of finesse, and that's why our numbers aren't perfectly balanced, because of these different blocks and following our major roadways. And so you can take little ones and add it, and you can see that right away then the numbers have changed. If we go in here, let's see what, here we are we keep moving east, and we end up over here in Saddlewood subdivision. And we keep doing, we see how quickly our numbers can get off here based on those block sizes and how many people are there. And so we have to be able to then, if we were shifting a district, we'd have to be able to come in on the other side and pull some away from that district to get them as closely matched as we could. So it was a little bit of a learning curve, but it certainly made things a lot easier. We will do the same process after this. One of these maps are approved, and to go back and do the precinct lines. And then we'll take the district that's approved, we'll have it on the map, and we'll be able to go through the same way and assign the different precincts then as well. Either way, after this is done with both the district lines and the precinct lines, A lot of, if not everybody, will be changing their districts and precincts, and we will send out a postcard notification to them of that change. We'll make the changes within our score system, the voter database, so even after approval here, there's still a lot of work to be done, particularly when we think that caucuses, it seems like it's a long way away, but coming up in March, it'll be here, and people will be needing to go to their correct precinct to be part of the process.
Thank you. Any comments?
Now, what you're hoping is that we'll adopt one of these maps today?
That would be my hope, yes.
It's interesting. I've spent a lot of time studying these maps. I prefer the second choice. However, I'm willing to support the first choice based on the recommendation of the people that work with you.
Do you have anything, Rick, you wanted to say? Or?
I don't know. I think getting a little more diversity in like the District 2 on this second map, rather than having both districts centralized up in that northwest corner or whatever, makes more sense to me.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at. I mean, the tool was tremendous because it gave us the freedom to not just nibble around the edges of what we've always had. I mean, we started with, I think, 5 maps, and as you said, 4 were very similar. The first one you showed was kind of the preferred of all the fairly similar to what we have now, but really what it showed was we had 2 districts that were really going to be heavily developed, suburban subdivision type districts, and then we had, as we've always had, a really large eastern district that was rural, but over time that really is going to lead you towards always having 2 western edge subdivision type commissioners and 1 rural. And the second map, the one that's showing, really did appeal to me because you've got the heavily developed northwest corner that we're all familiar with, a largely rural eastern district, but then with the towns and much larger rural areas in District 2, you have that ability throughout time for the people to choose kind of what the makeup of their commission looks like. For, sitting commissioners, the statutes that were associated with us didn't unseat anyone, so there was no reason to try to be self-serving or self-protected. We could just throw it out on the map and decide what's best for representation. I mean, once in office, we serve the entire county, so I mean, I always used to kind of jokingly say the districts just prevent 3 guys from 1 cul-de-sac from taking over the county, but this map layout, the second one to me, provides that citizen option of what's the makeup of their commission. I mean, you can truly have 2 rural guys, or a town guy, unincorporated subdivision guy, and a big ranch guy. I mean, it provides that flexibility and for folks to kind of pick what the leadership and governance they want to see. So that's kind of where I was at. But I'd open it up to public comment. As Ella said, we didn't have a lot coming into it. I know, Ted, I think you were a representative for the Republican Party, and oddly enough, we had something that both Republicans and Democrats agreed on in this county, which is rare, if not almost impossible to imagine. So anyway, if anybody's got any comments, I'd invite those at this time. Seeing none, I would invite a motion to adopt a map here.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the recommended map.
Okay, and just as a friendly amendment, we're talking about the 3 municipality map, the one that's displayed, yes?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the commissioner map described as the 3 municipality map. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think I said aye. Did we get a? Okay, all in, yeah, the motion carries. My understanding is you've got this described
I do.
by,
I don't have it typed out. I have it
yeah,
written
kind
out.
of the,
Had a few things going on at home. I wasn't able to
understood
hear that. But yeah, we can attach the map and that description to our minutes, and they'll be part of the record then, and we'll get the word out on the website and that sort of thing. So I appreciate the passage of one of the maps today. We can start additional work now. Thank you.
Okay. And so my understanding, it takes effect upon adoption, or do we?
Since it's adopted, it'll make the change. I didn't talk about it, but you alluded to it, that we weren't drawing anybody out. You would be in a different district, but the law that was passed this past spring grandfathers you in, so we were allowed to do that. And since you were term limited anyway, it really became a moot point. Rick is still in District 2, and I'm sorry, Commissioner Pettit is still in District 2, and we'll go forward from there, and we'll communicate with the parties as well as far as the number of precincts and that sort of thing that they would like us to see, and we'll be hopefully making an initial presentation to you at our December meeting on the precincts.
Well, I love all of Elbert County, and I haven't moved, but I started in precinct 10, so I've been in different districts before without having to move. No, I appreciate that. I know there's a lot of work going into this and a lot of thought, while at the same time coordinating an election, so thank you. Alrighty, that was the last action item we had. We'll move on to board planning. Our next December meeting, I think we'll have our standard consent items. We should have the paperwork for the transfer of the parcels that are adjacent or under the Kiowa car wash. And not sure if we have anything else at that point. It would be the one after that we look at the final budget.
We'll have the draft of the organizational resolution.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Alrighty. Anything else you want to have added? Okay. I'm sure we'll have some more, but stuff pops up at the end of the year. So with that, we don't have any land use items planned for this afternoon, so I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I will not call for discussion. Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thanks.